This is a guest posting masterclass, not taught by me, taught by ChatGPT. I asked it to do deep research, come up with the best guest posting strategies, not the generic stuff, but the stuff that actually works. I turned it into this slide deck and we're gonna roast it to see if it's actually useful or if it's just kind of telling you best practices that don't actually work. Who am I? I'm AJ, founder of Outreach Labs. I've been doing link building for 10 years. Let's go. So what is guest posting? It's a powerful strategy that allows you to write content for other sites, gaining backlinks, building your authority in the process. Mutually beneficial because they get content and you get links. In exchange, you can typically include a backlink in your site, boosting your SEO. It's a win for the blog, it's a win for you, and it can significantly increase your website traffic. Why? Because backlinks make your rankings go higher, and it can increase your brand because if your brand is on more sites, that's brand exposure. So it's important to build these relationships and engage with broader audiences. That's what ChatGPT is claiming. If this was 10 years ago when blogs were ruling the world, kind of like dinosaurs, then that would make sense. The reality is like social media is kind of taken over, right? A lot of people aren't really reading as much. So like the whole concept of guest posting has kind of become more manipulated as a way to get backlinks and not really as a way to actually generate views, clicks, and traffic because everyone's just kind of scrolling on social media to get that kind of information. But let's go to the strategy breakdown because, if you're doing good guest posting, just that backlink on its own, that might be good enough to do this strategy. Because if you get enough of those links and Google likes those links and your rankings start to go higher, then who cares who's reading or not reading your post as long as your rankings are starting to go higher, right? So strategy breakdown, define your objectives, target niche and audience. So identify your primary purpose. Is it to earn backlinks, increase referral traffic, brand awareness? Consider setting setting specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound SMART goals to clarify your objectives. For example, aim for a certain number of guest posts per month or a targeted percentage of increase in your website traffic. Regularly review and adjust your goals. Okay. Target audience and niche. Pinpoint your audience interests, demographics, focus on relevant niches, outline key topics or keywords that align, research competitors in your niche, identify gaps in their content. You can fill that goals. Okay, so this all sounds good in theory for sure. For me, I'm a very process-oriented person. So when we do this stuff, we want to create like mini processes for campaign ideas, building as many prospects as possible, sending as many emails as possible, right? There is a world where the one-to-one kind of, I identified this site, I'm going to see what they write about, I'm going to write them the perfect tailored pitch post, I'm going to get into someone's inbox and hope they respond. That also works. It's just really time consuming. So most people like that stuff that sounds good in theory, they don't actually follow through on it in execution. That's why I think building a process is so critical. So let's see the process that ChatGPT suggested. Prospecting for opportunities, Google search operators, social media, competitor backlinks, content discovery tools. So Google search operators use phrases like your keyword, write for us, your topic, submit a guest post. So let's say I was trying to market an AI tool. So I go AI tool, submit a guest post. I see AI Scout, I see guest post generator, I see bit guest post generator, AI, submit a guest post, guest post. I look at each one of these. Are you passionate about tools? Blah, blah, blah. Are you ready to contribute? Input your name here. Contact this person. Guest post generator. This is not something. AI guest post generator. Again, this is just an AI thing. Submit a guest post. You can post your articles here. All links are do follow. Okay. TLDR guest post. Here's the cost of a guest post. Write a guest post. Here are guidelines for guest post. So if you were to get the email for each one of these, reach out to each one of these and pitch them, they would say, okay, your guest post is accepted. That'll be $25, $50, $100, right? So when you're following this methodology that ChatGPT is suggesting, you would find blogs and those blogs would give you responses, but you have to ask yourself, is this a site worth getting a link from? Is this a site worth ranking for? The reason why those sites have those kind of pages is because that's how they are monetizing their blog, right? They're taking a keyword plus adding the word guest post, adding the word write for us because they know that people potentially who are getting guided from ChatGPT are going to search for those terms and reach out and then they can charge. Heck, even I have sites that are like that because it's a great way to earn passive income. Those sites are probably not the kind of sites that are going to give you any kind of brand awareness or traction or rankings because, well, one of the important factors for how Google decides whether a backlink is good or not is exclusivity, relevance, and authority, right? So it's not exclusive at all if anyone can just submit a guest post for it with $25. They have this algorithm that measures unnatural outbound links on websites. So when it identifies a guest post site as having too many unnatural outbound links, it just devalues all their links. It doesn't give an algorithm warning. It doesn't really tell you anything like that. It just devalues them. So even though you can check on like Ahrefs and you can check the DR and traffic, this is one of the sites that we found, aiscout.net. They have a DR of 38, a traffic of 1,500. So they've got some traffic. They pass some muster. But you have to kind of ask yourself, is this a site that's valuable? And I'm sure GPT is going to get into more prospect qualification as the presentation goes on. So let's keep moving. Okay. Leverage competitor backlinks, analyze where competitors have guest posted, use tools to find backlinks they have received from guests, provided you with target. Okay, prospecting for opportunities. One way to do that is if you do have something like Ahrefs, you don't even, let's give you the free version. So let's say you wanted to go to Google. There's someone popular in your field like Tim Solo. He's the CMO for Ahrefs. Let's say you wanted to see where he gets guest posts published. So you would put the word guest post, then his name, Tim Solo, and then you'd say minus Ahrefs, which is his own site. So from here, what you end up seeing is like, okay, he got mentioned in a podcast here. He got a ProBlogger.com guest post contribution here, interview here, more recently here. So, some of these are going to be guest post opportunities. So you could identify sites that way. You could go to a paid tool like Ahrefs. You could literally just put in a competitor's name, go to their backlink profile, filter by best links, whatever metrics you want, and see where they got links from. And some of these links might be freshly published. And some of these might be link inserts, some of them might not be relevant. So it's very much a digging game. I don't personally like these kind of methods. They can be okay, but they're not super scalable. So social media and communities, join industry groups like Facebook, sure, fine. And content discovery tools, use tools like BuzzSumo to identify popular content, discover blogs that are open to guest contributions. Yes, sure. One of the ways that we kind of like that they didn't really mention is I'm looking for blogs in my niche that have content editors, content managers, right? So, or if you don't want to do any of it, this is some self-promotion here. Go to Linkomatic.ai, create an account, create a campaign, choose guest post. Just tell us some of your page targets and criteria. We will find those 250 prospects, 500 prospects, with the right contact person of the content editor, content manager, person who would care about receiving a guest post. So you can upload it into your favorite outreach, put together a template, and off you go. Linkomatic.ai. Okay, let's go back to roasting Google. So after prospecting, after building a list, it's saying you have to qualify. Relevance matters, evaluate authority and traffic, content check, link policy awareness. So ensure the target site aligns with your industry. Check the site's domain authority, domain rating. I just showed you how to do that with Ahrefs. Reviewing the site's existing content, look for valuable, well-researched articles rather than spammy or low-quality posts. Yes, doing that one by one is not the most fun thing in the world, right? Understanding the site's linking policies, target sites that provide do-follow links for SEO traffic, consider referral traffic. Okay, so this is all it really says about qualifying target sites. This is a rabbit hole that goes way deeper. So just the quick tips on how you can quickly evaluate a site. Since I have this one up, AI Scout, let's go to their blog. One way to evaluate their site is how well their page titles rank for just in Google. So you copy a page title on their site. Let's copy benefits of video editing software. Does it show up anywhere in the top page of Google? Does it show up on the second page of Google? Does it show up on the third page of Google? If not, the Google's probably not just valuing them highly for that term, right? That's kind of a competitive topic. You could also just look for maybe something that's a little more unique, like this one, streamlining inbox management. So this is something that probably, if the site is not penalized, it should be just showing up because no one's really writing about this topic. So let's see. AI Scout, it shows up here. Okay, so maybe it's not penalized. That's good. What's another thing you could look at when you're evaluating a site? Inbound versus external. Inbound versus external links. So here they have 828 links coming into their domain. Okay. What about their link domain? So they have 1,000, they have almost 2,000 links going out of their domain. So for every link they get in, they're linking out twice, right? Because this is what these kind of guest post farm, this might be a directory, maybe that's why, because directories have a lot of links. But when you notice this kind of pattern where they're generating a lot more external links than internal links, it means that it's probably a link farm. A link farm is someone who has a website and they're just selling links for the purpose of making money. And that's probably not a good neighborhood that you want to be in. Let's continue. So let's say you built this, like, how big of a list do you really want to build? You're going to get demotivated if you're doing it very manually and you're pitching a couple people, you're spending a couple hours a day, you're not getting responses. So you want to avoid being demotivated. So you need to think in terms of like building big lists. So when I say a big list, even 100 is kind of small unless you're really going one by one and like headhunting them. So I say build a list of 500 to 1,000, super relevant people that have content in your niche. It may not be advertising, guest posting, but they have an active blog, they have a content manager, and they are actively publishing. And then let's talk about what ChatGPT thinks the perfect pitch is. So a well-crafted pitch is essential for gaining acceptance. Personalization, clear value proposition, increases your chance to get published. Subject line, make your subject stand out by focusing, for example, personalize it to mention their site or a recently published article. A compelling subject line can increase open rates. Personalize the email, username, brief greeting, show familiarity with the content, a sincere compliment about their work, offer 2 or 3 guest post ideas, brief synopsis, clearly articulate how your content will benefit readers, address any content gaps, clearly articulate how your content will benefit. Okay, that's just repeated. Okay, so basically be a human, try to be useful, do your research ahead of time. If you've ever received an email like this, you're in the top 0.001%. Realistically, people just don't do this, like, ever. So everyone says you should do it, this is how you should do it, this is how you should do it, so it's become the thing to say. The vast majority, the reality is no one's actually doing this. No one's really getting to know an editor and pitching this specific content because it just doesn't scale. And people's inboxes are so inundated with garbage, so even if you do send like a legitimate thing, it's just going to look like kind of everyone else. So this is why I think this kind of perfect pitch stuff is kind of nonsense, because you're just going to fail at it, or it's going to be too much time and not worth the ROI. So you do need to have some kind of good templates in mind. One thing I was just working on a campaign for a client today, and I was like, man, I really don't want to be just like sending a generic pitch, but I don't, I serve clients in many industries. So this one was in cybersecurity. I've got, someone else will be in cards or something. So I can't have an expert writer for every single category. Now, if you are an expert writer and you do like creating content, then you should take, the 500, 1,000, and you become the shining light in that. Do you accept content, and why should it be your content? Because you are amazing and you publish all these great things. If you have that, you're 10 steps ahead of the game, right? If you don't, or you're an agency trying to do this for other companies, then you need to have some kind of better way. So I'm going to recommend you I created this guest post search operator helper recently. No, I didn't create this. Here we go. This is my guest post idea generator and outreach assistant. So let's say you were in a topic. We can pick any topic. Let's go with a nonprofit marketing software. This is my topic. So I'm going to ask GPT to brainstorm me some blog post ideas that I can pitch. It's asking me what type of sites will I be pitching to. I'm going to say SaaS marketing blogs. Let's go with marketing blogs, okay? So what I've trained GPT to do here is, you might be familiar with the concept of pillar post and supporting post. Pillar posts are something, if there's an active blog who's like got a content manager, it's like they're the ones who are in charge of pillar posts. So to go in there and like try to pitch a pillar post, or like who are you're not anybody to them. They have this whole content calendar and a whole plan, right? They don't need someone coming in there to try to like write about their main topic. However, when you have a pillar post, you need supporting content, and you need lots of it, right? So supporting content needs are endless. Now, if you come in and you say, hey, I know you're not going to accept some kind of pillar post, and hey, if you're an agency, you probably can't deliver a good pillar post anyway, because you can't be the master, your writers can't be the master of all these different niches. So, take care of that ahead of time. Say you're going to deliver supporting content. Supporting content can be shorter. It can be 500 to 1,000 words. It still has the opportunity to potentially rank, right? So in your email, you can say, like, I like to export this into a sheet. I like to put it into a Google sheet. I like to link to it in my pitch. And I like to say, here's some topics that I've thought of, right? And then here's the kind of pitch that I've thought of. If you're publishing relevant guest posts, I'd love to contribute one on a practical topic related to nonprofit marketing, such as how nonprofits, whatever. My team writes concise, actionable posts. We've already put together a few ideas. If this stands out, let me know. And then I like to, offer something kind of in return. I can't help it. I feel like some people, that'll kind of push them over the edge where they're like, they need content. They don't want to deal with the headache. Oh, they're also getting a link in return. Okay, fine. So that's my formula. It does tend to work pretty well. 5% success rate on responses, 2-3% success rate on guest posts. These are not paid guest posts, right? If you wanted the paid guest post, you saw what we did earlier. We could do that all day long, but I don't think the results would be there. So this is more of like how to legitimately do guest posts, but maintain scale. You could send that same email to 100 people, right? Follow up and persistent, sure. Follow up, writing high quality guest posts, follow guidelines, limit self-promotion, match tone and style, cite sources, provide valuable content, edit and proofread. Absolutely. Maximizing post publication, promote your guest post, share on social media, tag the host. Yeah, this is good practice. A lot of people don't do it. Some people do. Engage with the audience, tools and resources. So prospecting tools. Use tools like Respona. I like Respona a lot. Right? I do. We used to use it. We recently moved to Linkomatic.ai for our prospecting because it's our tool and we built it. BuzzStream is okay, not my favorite. Fine. SEO metrics tools. Ahrefs is what I use all day. Moz was popular 10 years ago. Now not so much. Similar web data is kind of nonsense. I feel like Ahrefs and I'm surprised I left out SEMrush, but yeah, Ahrefs and SEMrush are kind of the top two. Contact discovery tools. Hunter and Viola Norbert. I'm not sure if Viola Norbert gets mentioned anywhere ever. So I think kind of Apollo has taken the crown as, one of the ones with the biggest databases, relatively cheap. Find email is under the radar, but quite good. And Hunter is decent. I like them because they have this domain search where one credit will return 10 potential emails from that domain, and that's pretty cheap. Most of the other ones, they're charging per email, so that can get expensive. What we do in Linkomatic is we use multiple email APIs, and we do rankings by job title. So we're ranking by like the most likely person to be interested in your pitch. So that's why I think that's an interesting one. Writing aids, memory fine, tracking tools, okay. So case studies. This is just nonsense from ChatGPT. Common mistakes to avoid. Low quality sites, ignoring God. Okay. Pro tips and advanced tips. Let's see. These pro tips are from ChatGPT. So warm up your prospects. Engage with potential hosts on social media before pitching. Content on their posts. Share their content. Yeah, fine. Most social media people don't really have blogs though. Like they're just active on. Some might. Sure. Yeah. It's hard. If you're an agency, it's really hard to do this, but. If you're working internally at a SaaS and you've been hired to land high-end guest posts, then absolutely. Creative outreach angles. Yeah, I thought what my idea was creative in that it doesn't just sound like, hey, can I have guest post? It's like, I know you're the king of your content. If I can support, and here's how I can support with supporting content, and here's some topics that I've thought of, and here are the keywords, and here's the search volumes, and here's, why it would make sense. So you've done all that work kind of already. That stands out a lot from someone that hasn't. So give before you take. Yeah, in my world, I'm just like, I'm willing to give back a backlink or something in exchange because it's easy, it's scalable, I can use it in all my templates. So take your first step towards boosting your SEO through guest posting. Okay. You know what? There were some gaps in the ChatGPT for sure. I think they got the details right, but if you followed them step by step, you'd probably have a high failure rate. But hopefully you got some of my takeaways there and they were helpful. I'll wrap this up with an introduction to our guest posting service, richlabs.com. Check us out there. As an agency, absolutely. Like the strategy I outlined is essentially the strategy we do. If you do it internally, you do it yourself, you're going to get I can't beat you on the type of links you'll get. But in reality, everyone's time is limited. You still want good sites from a scalable process that's relatively affordable. Then something like what we're offering is pretty good. So check us out there. Thanks a lot. I hope you appreciated my roast of ChatGPT. Like and subscribe for more because I like to do these every couple weeks. Appreciate you.